Welcome to the podcast that passes poor performance on pop culture. I'm one of your hosts, Darren Duncan, alongside with my best friend, Audie Marsh. We're just a couple of cool cats casually causing some chaos with conversation. We're here to entertain you, not hurt your feelings, so don't blame us. What's happening, man?
What's up?
How are you feeling on this fine Friday evening?
I feel great. You know, this has probably been the longest week I've had.
You
in a
say
long
that every
time.
week.
I don't know. A couple times they go pretty quick because this is the most anticipated. The happiness, my getaway,
Yeah,
is
right.
Friday nights.
Hell yeah, yeah. Tonight we have Kevin Sommerfield. He's a writer for Slasher Studios. It's like an independent film company. I can't wait to learn so much more about this. This guy has like a passion for horror, and you can tell it's just like it's what he wants to do. You know what I mean? So it's really cool, and I can't wait to converse with this dude and learn about him and the things that he's done.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't mind me. I'm always like fiddling and
Doing
farting
shit.
around. I'm like the
I know.
Matrix over here. I feel like I'm
Well, go ahead and bring him on, and while you
yeah,
do all
absolutely.
that and get caught up with all the social media stuff that you do, you tech genius, you.
All right, here we go.
Kevin, what's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing very well.
Awesome. I'm excited for you to be here, dude. I really appreciate you taking time out of your Friday night to hang out with us. It's awesome. I'm really
Yeah,
looking
thanks for
forward to
having
it.
me. I'm looking forward to it too.
So, where are you from, man?
I grew up in Toma, Wisconsin. I'm currently living in Appleton, Wisconsin, so the other side of the state now. Yeah, and been making horror movies for the last 10 years now.
10 years,
Wow,
huh?
10
But you've
years.
been into horror
Yeah.
way longer than that, I'm assuming.
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah, my first horror movie was when I was 5, so it's been a good couple decades.
Right. Do you
There you
remember
go.
what it was and how'd you got interested or introduced to it?
Oh yeah. I had a babysitter that showed me Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it scared the shit out of me. And I never wanted to watch another horror movie again. But then, like, I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I wanted to experience that feeling again. So that was just kind of the ground shed moment, and I just have watched horror movies ever since.
I got a similar story. It was the damn babysitter trying to get us all to go to sleep, and she put on Nightmare on Elm Street 5. That was like the
Oh,
first
nice.
one I saw. I was a tiny, tiny kid. I'm like, I don't know how old you are. I'm 35, so
Yeah, I'm just a little bit older, so pretty close.
okay. Awesome. How did you get into how did Slasher Studios come about? Have they've been around since what, like 2011?
Yeah, 2011, 2010 was when we made our first short film, which is Teddy. It actually started my producing partner, Steve Goltz. He was going to school at ASU, Arizona State University, and he needed to make a film for his thesis project to graduate. And he wanted to make a slasher film, and I wanted to make a slasher film for a long, long time. And it seems like the movies that were coming out right around that time that were horror just weren't very fun. They were taking themselves very seriously. So we just kind of wanted to kind of just have fun with the genre again. And we thought we were the only ones. And we just happened to make this like short film, and we sent it to some film festivals and stuff. And then all of a sudden we realized there was a whole group out there that felt the same way. And we just started making movies after that.
What kind of movies were coming out at the time that you thought were just taking themselves too serious? Like around what time was it?
Yeah, this is like around 2009, 2010. So I don't even like really remember right offhand. It was kind of like that. There was like that glut of like really, really bad like PG-13 horror remakes that were coming out. I know it
Right.
was like not too far along, like around the like prom night, when a stranger calls. Like it was just like they were just so bland and just so boring and just so by the numbers, and they just weren't fun at all. But it was just, yeah, I just want to make a fun slasher again.
No, that's cool, man. Like that's around the time, like in my opinion, I think like Scream saved horror, and then like
Mhm.
about 10, 11 years later it died again. So it's like
Right. No, I totally agree.
So
Scream.
so you helped your buddy make this movie, right? And then did you guys like
Mhm.
were you called Slasher Studios from the get-go or did that come later?
Yeah, we actually started with Slasher Studios right away, just because we wanted to form our own LLCs, our own independent film company. And then so we started a website just to kind of drum up some publicity, and we did kind of like horror reviews and just kind of updates on our short film. And then yeah, it just kind of grew from there.
It's a great name, and I can't believe that you guys got it first because it's such a badass, like, take no shit name. It's like, do they make romantic comedies? No, you know exactly what they do. And I just congratulations for getting it first because that's like
Yeah.
something like ever like, damn, why did we think of that? You know?
Right. No, yeah, yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I could not believe, like, I was just like, well, I'm like, I'll throw the name out there. I'm like, if we get like a ding saying that, hey, like this is already copyrighted, I guess we'll go change it. And then so we registered our company and we found out, hey, we were the only ones that had that name. It was I could not believe it. It was insane.
Yeah,
Oh
like
wow.
I've been in several like metal bands, and like the hardest thing is coming up with a name, getting four other dudes
Mhm.
to agree on it, and then when you finally do, you're like, shit, it's already taken. Like,
Right. No, exactly.
so, where do you guys like film your movies? You're from Wisconsin. You said your buddy was he from Arizona, or is that just where he was going to school?
Um, that's just where he was going to school. So we kind of shot. So we shot our first short film, Teddy. We shot that in Arizona, and then the other ones we've all filmed like around the state. They've all been Wisconsin productions. Besides that one, we've kind of filmed all over the state, just kind of wherever happens to be like the best shooting location or just where we can get the most cast and crew. But they've tended to be somewhere in Wisconsin.
That's cool. So do you guys like go scout out like after the fact, like after you wrote a script, like because if you got a cabin in mind, like in Dismembering Christmas, do you like, well, shit, do we even have access to a cabin first, or like how does that work out?
No, actually, because when I'm writing this stuff, I mean, I don't even know what our final budget's going to be. I don't know what we're going to have for our cast and crew. So everything's just kind of spur of the moment, I guess. Just kind of taking it as it is and seeing where it'll go from there. A lot of the shooting locations have just been rentals that we've rented for a couple weeks, just with other people, not telling them that it's a horror movie necessarily, but still telling
Right.
them that we're shooting a movie there. But yeah, so it's just been kind of hey, like what would be like the best location that we can have for the budget that we've got, and just kind of take it from there.
Do you guys have more movies than just those three? The Irrational Fear, Dismembering Christmas, and Don't Go to the Reunion.
Those are only three features. On the Don't Go to the Reunion DVD and Blu-ray, we have our three short films, which are Teddy, Popularity Killer, and Blood Brothers. But yeah, so those are like our six movies, three features, and three short films.
Okay, what order did they come out in? Like the three
Um,
features.
the three features, it was Don't Go to the Reunion, then Dismembering Christmas, and then Irrational Fear was our latest.
Okay, cool. What's out of the three? Do you have a favorite one?
Um, I can't look at them objectively. There's just
Mhm.
there's so much about that, all of them, that I really appreciate and really like. But there's also like just with working with a low budget and working with what you have. Like there's a lot of compromises, but there's stuff about all of them that I really appreciate, and there's stuff that I wish I would have done differently. But everything's kind of a live and learn experience. But for the most part, like I'm happy with. I mean, I'm happy that we were able to make three films, more than anything. So I'm really satisfied with all of them. I don't know necessarily that I have a favorite, but I would say that there's stuff about all of them that I like.
Right. No, I get it. They're kind of like one of your kids, like
Mhm,
because you did
exactly.
help create them, so it's like I can't if they're all
Yeah.
drowning in a lake, it's like oh shit.
Hmm.
I guess we're all going down together. So you don't
Right.
have one that you when it comes into the conversation like oh I actually write horror movies. There's not that one where you're like well check this one out or
I mean, I would say that if there's, if people, I try to kind of gauge the kind of movies that people like. If they're really into 80s horror, then I'll recommend like Don't Go to the Reunion. If they are like more of like the kind of the holiday horror slashers, then obviously Dismembering Christmas. Or if they want something a little bit more like psychological as opposed to just straight up slashers, then I usually go with Irrational Fear. So I try to kind of gauge the kind of horror movies that people like, just because I mean, even a horror, I mean, as you guys know, it's such a diverse genre, and there's some horror fans out there that don't like slashers at all, and there's it's kind of pick and choose. So it's just kind of seeing what they like.
Right. That's a really great answer, man. That's awesome. You make my job really easy. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Why, how come all three of those movies have so many different covers? Like, I'm not complaining at all. I think it's fucking amazing and they all look super cool. But why so many? Because like this is like the first time that I've ever really seen that, where it's like, holy shit, there's like 9 different covers for this movie on the internet.
Yeah, the posters are
Oh,
definitely amazing. Like the
Yeah, right.
artwork. Who did Austin do all of the artwork on it? Or was that just
he didn't. Yeah, he did most of the art. He did most of the like the
Okay.
final art. But yeah, for all three of them, we just went on Facebook and we're like, okay, well, there are a lot of artists out there that want to get their work out there. So we just held contests where people could make their own posters, and we just had our fans vote on them. So I mean,
wow.
hey, we were like, okay, like the one that gets the most votes, that'll be the Blu-ray cover, and the one that gets the second amount of votes will be the DVD cover. And then we had like a limited edition VHS cover, and then we also used the other posters as just kind of miscellaneous promotion, just to kind of keep them be fresh, and then also get the word out there for other artists as well.
That's a genius idea, man.
Yeah,
to have different people make them and then vote. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to keep that one in the spank bank.
I think it was the Dismembering Christmas poster, one of the posters I saw online with the black red. I fell in love with that one. I was like, man, I like that one. I think I even added it. It's on the ad for you on all the social media. Was yeah, I like that one. So did Austin do? Did Austin? I'm sorry, Darren. Did Austin?
No, Audie, you go ahead, man.
Was he like your go-to guy, or was it just for the one for Don't Go to the Reunion?
No, he created the final art for Don't Go to the Reunion, and he submitted stuff ever since then. And yeah, he's just been kind of our he also did like for our opening title credit sequence for Irrational Fear, where there's like there's ink blots. He created that our title sequence for that movie as well. So yeah, he's been a huge part of kind of getting the word out there, and then also kind of just adding like a fresh face with like a new design that's also retro as well.
I'm a big fan of indie art, independent art, I guess you could say. Posters. I have several from several buddies that done their own independent type of films, and the posters alone to me, I'm just like, I'm drawn to. You make a good art poster on an indie cover, I'm gonna watch it just because of the art poster. I just have a big thing for them.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, kind of, in our generation of kind of like the whole like video store era. I mean, before the internet, you didn't know anything about these movies at all. Everything was based on whatever cover art you saw at the video store. So I really kind of wanted to go back to kind of that, because there's been tons of movies that I rented as a kid that were just awful, but they had like the best cover art ever, and it was kind of like those movies that sold me. And I really kind of wanted to bring that back, because I love a good, like, give me like a really good cover art and like a really good tagline for a horror movie. I'm instantly sold.
Right,
dude. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Like taglines are especially like where it's at. Like when they got some corny pun. I'm a pun sucker, dude. I'm a sucker for puns.
I feel the exact same way.
Yeah, man, that was the thing. Like Friday night sleepover, whatever. Dad's ordering pizzas, and then you always hit the horror section, man. And covers that stuck out to me was like House with the hand ringing the doorbell.
Oh yeah.
And there's tons of movies still that I never even saw. Like I think the Uncle Sam one, like He Wants You Dead. I never watched it.
Yeah,
I never
TerraVision
watched
had an
it.
awesome one too.
Oh yeah, there's
TerraVision
tons of
had a
them that
great.
I've never even
Yeah.
seen, but god damn it, I remember those covers.
Yep.
You know, there's tons
Oh
of
yeah,
movies
for
like that.
sure. Yeah, and I mean, just yeah, those covers were just amazing. Like I loved like some of my favorites were like the original VHS covers for the Nightmare on Elm Street films, which are kind of like those painted drawings that were so good. And I was just like, and part of the fun of looking at those when I was a kid was just kind of like the movies that I wasn't able to see, just kind of, you know, making in my mind my own horror movie of what I thought that movie was about.
Right. Yeah, I remember Jack Frost was one of them that stuck out to me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation, awful movie, but that cover creeped me out. A guy with pantyhose that's got leg hair sticking through it. I'm like, fuck this movie. I'm not watching
Right.
it. And then now as an adult, I sit and watch it. I'm like, oh, I'm glad I never rented that motherfucker.
Right.
It's so bad.
I know
What do
that
you think
feeling.
about that one? Do you like the Next Generation one with Renee Zellweger and Matthew McConaughey?
I I think it completely fails as a horror movie. I think it works as a comedy. I think it's really weird because I just actually recently rewatched that one. And I'm still not 100% sure what the tone of that movie is even supposed to be. Every single actor in that movie feels like they're in a different movie.
Mhm.
And it just like there's some of them that are playing it really over the top and others that are taking it very seriously. And then there's that whole final act where it's like this big conspiracy theory with the government. And I give them credit for trying to do something different. And it's one of the more interesting later sequels. But yeah, I would never, ever, ever call it good.
Yeah, it's like nobody knows what they were trying to do. The actors didn't know what set they were on.
Mhm.
That movie itself doesn't know what movie it's trying to be. It's just
Hey,
all
no,
over the place,
for
dude.
sure.
And Leatherface is
No,
the
I
biggest
completely agree.
bitch in that movie. He's all he does is scream. I don't even think he kills anybody in that movie. It's all the Matthew McConaughey character.
Right. No, yeah, it's a really weird movie. And I kind of dig it just for how bizarre it is. But yeah, it's just it feels like they took like 3 or 4 scripts and just kind of threw them together. And the pieces really don't fit well with each other. I think that they should have either gone for a note of being just really like over the top splatter comedy, or they should have just taken it seriously. They try to mix the two together and it doesn't work.
Yeah, or maybe just not even call it Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Call it something else, man.
Just call it Matthew
No.
McConaughey's horror movie.
Yeah, it's
You're
something.
right.
I have no idea. So, how were you involved with Sleepaway Camp 4?
I was not.
No? Because
No.
so I was wondering if this was a joke because on your Facebook profile it says that you worked at Sleepaway Camp 4 and I was
Oh.
the Survivor.
Yeah.
You know what movie I'm
Yeah.
talking about?
Yep, where it's like the bits and pieces. Yeah, I don't know. I think somebody like just tagged me in that randomly and I just never deleted it. But no, I had nothing to
Oh,
do with that at all.
okay. Cuz I was googling the shit out of it. I'm like, "What? He was involved in that? Like that's awesome." And
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
I couldn't find anything. I'm like, "What'd he do?"
yeah,
That's cool.
yeah, no, I didn't do anything with that.
The look on your face when I asked that question, you're like, "What?" That's hilarious, dude. So, how involved are you with the Slasher Studios movies? Like, I know you write them, but from Brain Baby to paper to pitch to you're actually like, are you on set and being like, no, man, do it this way? Or is that the director's job? Like, how deep are your hands in these movies?
I'm right there right from the beginning. I when I'm starting a script, like before I even put one word on the paper, I will have a complete schedule worked out that's being like, okay, I'm gonna have this script done by this point. This is when I'm going to be starting our cast and crew. This is when we're going to be shooting. This is when we're going to have our, you know, pre-cut. This is when we're going to have our final cut. I literally will have every single thing down to like almost the date before I even start like writing anything at all. So I try to, put it together as much as possible. I would say I'm most involved. I am there for the entire shoot, but I'm most involved in the pre-production and the post-production. When it's the production itself, I try to let it, the directors, take over. I'm there if they need any help or if they have any questions, or if they, if some kind of conflict comes up, or if there's, a problem with any kind of equipment or people aren't getting along. Like I'll kind of step in with stuff like that. But for the most part, I will have worked with the director throughout pre-production. So we'll pretty much be on the same page of what kind of vision that we want. So I really trust him to kind of keep his word with that. And I've had a really good luck with that so far, knock on wood. But yeah, so I'm just kind of there from beginning to end.
Do you usually have about the same crew like throughout all these 3 movies, or do things change?
For the most part, we do have some kind of changeover here and there, but for the most part, I would say that more than half of our crew has been the same through all 3 features. For some of the technical roles, they've just been different, just because some people move away or some people aren't available for another shoot, or stuff comes up. But for the most part, we try to really keep with the same kind of creative circle, just with working with people that we know that are dependable and will work well with each other.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense, man. I would think it would be much smoother that way. And then you build a camaraderie and a teamwork, and it's just, and then I don't know. It seems a lot. That's the way to do it if you can do it. Even your bigger guys do that shit. They try to
Oh
keep
yeah,
the
for
same
sure.
light guy gaffer or whatever.
Yeah, I think Adam Sandler does it big time.
Yeah, he's one of them that
Yep.
does it.
Yeah, he's one of the. I think he has the most on his. Like,
So, how much of your dialogue goes into the movie? It's like, do you leave room for ad-libbing, or?
For the most part, we'll do at least one take that's strictly by the script. And then we'll kind of go from there. And then, sometimes we'll have like 1 or 2 takes that, we let the actors ad lib. Sometimes if it's like a big dialogue scene, if stuff isn't flowing well, I'll, as long as like the general point has gotten across, then, we kind of, leave it up in the air. But for the most part, I mean, it's not, strict, hey, it's got to be word for word for word. Just because something might read well, but it might not sound the best, or it might not flow with what another character, or I mean, just kind of, line delivery is another thing too, where it might sound good on the page, but that particular actor just it doesn't fit themselves, even though it might fit the character. So I mean, we kind of leave it up in the air, but for the most part, I would say, probably 75% of the script of dialogue that was in the final shooting script ended up in like each of the final films, with just kind of like little ad libs here and there. But for the most part, it's pretty solid going in. We know what we want, and we know like where we want to go with each of the scenes.
I say that a lot, that what looks good on paper doesn't necessarily look good on screen. Like when you take a book and you make a movie out of a book, everyone says the book's better. Well, first of all, because you're the director when you're reading a book, you get to set what the hotel looks like and what Jack Torrance looks like and what he's wearing and shit. You get to invent that in your own brain. And then when you see it on the screen, you're like, that's not what he looks like at all. Like, who are you to say,
Yeah, you kind of set
Yeah,
yourself up
exactly.
for failure.
Sometimes
Yeah.
they do set themselves up for failure that way, and it pisses a lot of people off, but it's just, I don't know. You got to adapt, I guess. I don't really know. I've never done it. So who am I to say? I have no clue.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you never really know, or there'll be scenes. And that's the thing too, is like watching movies with like your movie with an audience, which for the first time is absolutely terrifying. I mean, I was one of the actors in Teddy, which happened to be our first short, and just seeing on the big screen, I was just cringing all the way through. But then there'll be moments that you think will work really well that really for whatever reason don't. But then there'll be, actually, we were really lucky with Teddy, because with that one, it got huge laughs that we never, ever, ever were expecting. And that's always a big bonus, just because, I mean, none of the movies take themselves too seriously. So, I mean, if the audience is having a good time, like, I'm all for it.
Right. Again, to compare it to like me being in metal bands and things like that, some of my least favorite songs, the songs I hate that I wrote in a day, everybody else loves. But then the ones that I pour my heart and soul out into that took me a year to write and perfect, it's like gets no love. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That shit
Yeah, or
happens
there'll
all
be,
the time.
yeah, exactly. Or there'll be some of my favorite scenes that I've written for a movie that I was like, oh, I can't wait for this scene. Like, and for whatever reason, we either have to cut them before they're even shot, just because we just don't have time, and they don't add enough to the final film to kind of dig out that time, or they don't work in the final cut. They either slow things down, or they just don't flow well with the rest of the movie. So you just kind of have to take it as it is.
Yeah, that's gotta suck when something like that happens. It's gotta hurt your feelings a little bit, but you just gotta kind of swallow your pride and move on. And
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
what's the process like finding your actors? Do you guys make them try out, or do you like, oh, I know Susie, she'll be good in this movie. Let's go give her a call. Like, how does that usually work?
I would say that it's probably a third of the roles are cast at a time. We'll write specifically for an actor, and we'll talk to them and say like, hey, like, this is the role that we're writing. Is this something that you'd be interested in? Like, we'll send you pages as like we're writing it, and then the other ones will go through either Facebook or Craigslist, or just kind of various sites, just to find up and coming actors. Some of them. With a couple of the movies, they've flown in from California. Other ones have been local actors. It's just kind of finding the best actors for the parts, for especially for the main roles. I mean, we really want to kind of get the best talent out there that we possibly can with the budget that we have. But yeah, for like the smaller roles, probably more local, more like indie theater type people, but just kind of mixing the circles around with each other, and seeing what kind of combination works.
Yep. I was gonna ask with Don't Go to the Reunion, you had a budget of $10,000. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
hiring actors, and in the credits or the commentary, I'm sorry, you mentioned you've already spent the 10 grand before you even film. So
Mm-hmm.
like when you go to pay the actors, now this is a me asking you as in, how do you do it? Like, okay, so for an example, Stephanie, she was probably your top tier,
Mm-hmm.
one of the top tier actors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so does she get like $1,000, and then like someone like Spence gets like $500? Like, is that how it's broken down? Is it based off your experience, or is it how much like, hey, I'll do this if you pay me this type thing? I always wondered that.
Yeah, if with us at least, it's not so much a specific dollar amount. It's okay, we're gonna pay for, all of your expenses, we're gonna pay for like this, we're gonna and it's more of like the, okay, well, we're gonna print out, let's say, I think with like that run, we had like a 2,500 DVDs. So one of like the biggest things with like Stephanie was like, I'm like, okay, well, I'll give you like a couple of hundred DVDs where you can go to conventions yourself and sell them. So she has like a part of like the merchandising for it, as opposed to paying it right up front. And then we're also saving money too, because we're making we're getting more films printed out at once. So it's kind of one of those things that just ends up helping out everyone in the long run.
Gotcha. So it's more or less like we're putting you on a platform to get you out there. Because like from indie films, from several other buddies that do them, they've like birthed independent actors into like someone on the bigger movie, platforms just by doing an indie film. So is that
Mhm.
like, if you was to hire me, okay, dude, here's a couple of Blu-rays, you can go to conventions, but also you're going to be put on all these platforms that I've just paid for all these, I don't know how it works, promoters or distributors. Uh, and one of the selling points as a director, writer, hey, Audie, you got all this. I'm putting you on a platform that's better than me just giving you $1,000 and saying, okay, thanks. Right? Is that how it kind of like you
Oh
agree with
yeah.
like the actors? You know what I mean? Because like Darren and I will do a movie for free. All right.
Right.
We've already talked about this. Like, dude, if we ever get in a movie together, like I'll do it for free. Just give me a shirt and feed me. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
is
No,
that
for
kind of like
sure.
what you do with the actors that you
Y-
hire? I mean,
Yeah,
that's great.
that yeah, that's one of the things too, is like, and that's like another thing too that we've really worked out with like actors, especially ones that are newer, is, hey, we're like, okay, well, we're not gonna be able to pay you anything up front, but at the same time, like, if they, we'll work with them and help them like make reels. So we'll be like,
Mm,
okay, well, these are your best scenes from the movies. Like, we'll cut them together. We'll make something for you that you can use in your next project. Just be like, hey, like, this is the stuff that I've done. Like,
mm,
this is my range.
right,
This is the stuff I
like a
can
good
do.
resume, like a nice
Exactly.
resume. Okay, I get it. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've always wondered that. I was like, my buddy Kevin, he's like, I'm gonna make you a dead body in my next movie. And I'm like, let's go for it.
Well,
I was like, put
Right.
Kevin
me
here
on the
probably knows what
platform.
you're talking about. High on the Hog. Are you familiar with that, Kevin? The movie High on the
um,
Hog?
no,
You've
I'm
been to
actually
Days of the
not.
Dead and shit. Oh no, because they
Oh,
usually have a
yeah.
table at Days of the Dead, and Sid Haig was in it, and it's really
Oh,
cool.
okay,
But yeah,
yeah, yeah. No, no, I know which one you're talking about. As soon as you mentioned Sig, yeah, said it, yeah,
Yeah.
I know exactly which one you're talking about now.
Yeah. Kevin's a really good friend of mine. He's eventually gonna be on the show, but uh, him and I talk about indie films and stuff like that, and I wanted to ask
Hmm.
you because it seems like about the same across the board, as far as actors go, promotion, resumes. I mean, I've always wanted to ask that because it was like one of those things, like, all right, Kevin, give me 10 grand. I'll come on. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really work
Right.
that way. Like,
Hmm.
it cost me 10 grand to do this whole
Yeah, I
thing.
mean, yeah, the only time that really works when it comes to like indie horror filmmaking is when you kind of want to bring in like a legacy actor that happened to be in like something that was, really popular in the 80s, and you want to kind of use their name and be like, hey, like, we'll
Hmm.
pay you a couple $1,000s, and you'll work like one day,
Right.
but your name's going to be on everything because you're going to bring an entire, group that grew up on whatever movie that you happen to be in. So I mean, that's really, as far as I've seen, that's really kind of been the only time that works, like where it's been like a direct payout. But it also all depends on what kind of budget you're working with as well.
Right. Like, what are you going for, I guess? So as
Hmm.
an independent filmmaker, like, what is your end goal? Is to just produce what you love and enjoy and do, or are you seeking something eventually, something, I don't know how it works. Look, I'm going to use this for example. Paramount, Sony, someone's going to pick you up.
Hmm.
Is that the end goal for an independent filmmaker? Is like, I made it, is that what you're
Right.
striving, or is it just striving to make movies for fun and just make movies, like what's
Yeah,
the
I
end
mean, that's a
goal?
good question, and I think that really kind of depends on, that's going to be a different answer for everyone. I think that anyone who goes in expecting that that's going to happen, they're in for a rude
Setting them up.
awakening, to say the least.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, just from beginning to end, just to get a movie made, you have to. It's there's a million things along the way that can derail it. Whether it's problems with actors, budget, location, shooting, equipment. There's just so much that can go wrong, that just having a film that works, that flows, that is something like what you wanted to create is almost, a reward in and of itself. Just from beginning to end, though, I just, each movie that I've worked on, I want each one to be, I want them to be their own thing, which without trying to repeat myself. And with all my movies, I want it to be something that's an easy sell, that I can be like, okay, well, this is going to be our log line. Like, I can sell it in a paragraph, exactly what it is. And then just kind of go from there. But for the most part, I just, I want to make movies that's stuff that I would watch myself. And if other people happen to like that, and other people are digging what I'm doing, that's just kind of a bonus. But I think that as a filmmaker, you got to do it for yourself first, because as soon as you try to predict what audiences are going to like, by the time that movie comes out, that might not be what's popular anymore. So that's not a good way to make movies.
Yeah, you're 100% right on that, man. I totally agree. Being just, you can't predict what's going to be the next hot thing, like that shit changes, the evolution. Like, our parents watch creature features where you could see the zipper on the back of the costume,
right?
And then and then you had the slasher thing, and then it's like now you have like the whole woke thing, and it's like people that are younger than us are like, oh, this woke shit pisses me off. It's like, well, the guy chasing around babysitters pissed our parents off. It's just like rock and roll. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Elvis was too much for our parents because he shook his hips. And now, I mean, you could only imagine what our parents think of music today. Jesus Christ. Marilyn Manson is way worse than fucking Elvis Presley, dude. So,
no, for sure.
So what's your next move, man? Do you guys got plans for another movie to come out, or do you just kind of laying back in the cut, or what's up?
Taking things pretty easy right now. I have some ideas of what I might possibly want to work on for our next film. But yeah, just in the last, obviously the last couple of years, a lot has changed, and it just, it's kind of scary jumping back out there. But I definitely want to. I was actually talking to my buddy Hunter, who directed our last movie, Irrational Fear, and he was living out in LA, and he's actually originally from Wisconsin. And he was talking about, we should make another movie. And that guy is just, he's nuts. Like, he makes like 4 or 5 movies a year, and he's also an actor, and he, I don't know how he does it. Like, I just get exhausted just hearing about everything that he's working on. But hey, like, more power to him. I think that's amazing. But just kind of, it's been a couple of years since we made Irrational Fear. So when I jump into the next one, which I really want to start working on a script sometime this year, and hopefully start filming next year. But I want it to be something smart and memorable and just fun again. And it's something that I don't want to say, okay, well, I'm just going to write a script just because I haven't done it in a while, because I don't think that's something that's going to be satisfying in the end.
I was going to ask that because earlier you said that you got everything planned out, dates, everything from the moment, the pen hits the paper, but you never write for fun.
Yep.
You never do anything like that.
I'll write stuff for other people, or I'll write like just like short stories and stuff like that. But when it comes to actual like screenplays, every I've written 6 screenplays, and those were all either shorts or features. It's just one of those things where I think that writing, especially screenplays, is great. Everything's about just getting practice, and just the more you write, the more experience you're going to have. But at the same time, I've seen people fall into this kind of bottomless pit that's be like, hey, like, I have 15 screenplays and none of them are done, and I don't know where I want to go with them. And it's just like, okay, well, I want to really kind of live that out before I jump into something else, because when you have all of these ideas cooking, but you don't know where you want to go with them, at the end of the day, that's not going to get you anywhere.
Maybe your next one could be an anthology, man, since you say you got these short stories that you write.
Yeah.
Maybe you could take 5 or 6 of them together and make an anthology film. That sounds like it'd be fun.
Yeah, I love anthologies. I mean, because
Yeah.
even when they're bad, like, hey, like, the next one's coming up in another 10, 15 minutes. So, if
Yeah.
you can
Exactly,
survive like the
dude.
bad ones, like,
I like when they get like 10 different stories and they're all done by 10 different directors. Like that shit's
mhm.
Yeah.
wild.
Chiller
No, I
Thriller was
completely
a
agree.
really good one. Chiller Thriller?
Hmm.
Chiller Thriller?
Well,
Love it.
Tarantino did it with 4 rooms. There's like 4 stories going on. 4
Hmm.
directors did it.
I think Adam
Um,
Green was Chiller Thriller, and can't remember the other guy.
isn't
But yeah.
VHS like that? There's like,
Yep.
Yeah.
and then like there's one called like ABCs of Death. There's like
Mhm.
26 freaking short
Oh yeah,
stories,
where
and
each one's based on a letter of the alphabet. Yeah, that's
yeah, that shit is
yeah.
absurd.
The VHS one, I watched it. Like, it takes a lot to scare me, and I'm big in horror and stuff. But there was
Hmm.
one of those little shorts on there. It literally gave me like chills. It was the VHS. I can't remember. They were in a hotel, and the female was like
Oh
a
yeah,
succubus or something. I was
yeah, with the
literally like,
eyes. Yep.
yeah, I was like, oh man, like if a movie can do this, then it's
Hmm.
got something. It was a short, uh, but yeah, that I like the shorts. That'd be great for you to do something like that. That'd be the way to go. If I was
Yeah.
into it, I would just do shorts. I was like,
Hmm.
features is too much involved. I'll make 5 shorts. Darren will make his 5 shorts, and we'll make
Yeah,
them all play in together, and we'll have a hit. That's in my
yeah, that'd
Yeah.
head,
be
by the
No,
fun.
way.
I think
I'm thinking in my head. So.
yeah. No, I think that's definitely a way to go. I mean, they don't even really have to be connected at all. I mean, you can
Yeah,
have a wraparound story or
they don't have
not.
to
Like,
make
it doesn't
sense.
really matter. Yeah, exactly. Like, you can do whatever you want, but
Well, they
just
kind of got to make sense, Audie.
Well,
Come on, man.
yeah.
I've seen some like Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation probably should have been a short film.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a real good
Right.
point. Have you ever seen Tree Venge, Kevin?
Yes, I have.
Like, do you like that ridiculous shit like that sometimes? Or like, there's one about a fucking tire that just like rolls through the
Oh yeah,
desert, running
rubber.
people over. Yeah,
In moderation. Those are
right.
stuff that I can appreciate, especially, and also like that like new wave that came out maybe a while ago, where there was kind of like this resurgence or kind of just this rebirth of just kind of celebrating horror movies just because they were bad, which I thought was really
Dude,
interesting.
yeah, that's going back to the Chiller Thriller. One of the shorts was Wadzilla.
Hmm.
I'm gonna
I
bring
didn't
that
mean to.
movie, Darren. I'm gonna make you watch that movie when I come
Yeah,
up to see you.
maybe.
No,
I
we
didn't mean
will.
to
Yeah, and
interrupt you, Kevin, but yeah, when you
oh
were
no,
talking
for sure.
about people who like celebrate bad movies, like sometimes that shit irritates me because it's like they don't like the big. I don't like. There's big blockbusters that suck too, but like just like It, for example, huge budget, fucking
Mhm,
love that movie, dude. But then
mhm.
there's people who shit all over it and would rather watch fucking Microwave Massacre Part 11 teen, like
Ah,
it's just
Right. No, I think that there's definitely there's good stuff. There's just as much bad low budget stuff as there is bad big budget stuff. And you just kind of you never know, especially like with movies that are coming out. There'll be movies that I think that I'll absolutely love that I'll just be like, what was that? But yeah, I really like it as well. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was. I remember when it came out, like I wrote like a little review for it that pretty much said like I never knew I wanted like a Nightmare on Elm Street tale like involving preteens. Like, and that's exactly how I felt about it. And I thought it was so much fun. And I thought it was really good. And it was really clever and just very well acted. And yeah, there's like this group of people that's just like, hey, like I'm not gonna like something just because it's popular or just because it's part of
yeah.
this particular series, which I thought that the new Scream movie kind of talked a little bit about toxic fandom and like really kind of touched on that point pretty well.
What is your opinion? Like, I think Audie here, I don't know how much he likes or dislikes Screams. I think he just does it to bust my balls because it is my ultimate favorite fucking horror movie of all time. And so I think, I don't know, Audie, what do you, Kevin, I want to ask you both. Like, what's the thing with Scream? Like, is it your favorite, least favorite? Audie, have you just been busting my balls for the last 6 years that I know you? Like, what's going on over here?
The first Scream movie, 6 out of 10.
Fuck you. All right, Kevin, I hate when people that do the number out of 10 thing. Like, I hate that shit.
That's why I did it, because it pisses him off.
You know, but I
Kevin,
fucking hate that shit.
What's your number, Kevin?
For Scream, that's like, I don't think it's perfect, but I would give it like a 9.5 out of 10. I think it's great. Like, I think it's
my man.
I think it's really fun. I think it's really clever. I think it's a good. I think it's a good time capsule of that period. I'm really in the minority here, and I completely understand this, but I actually like Scream 2 a little bit better than the original, just because I think it's more suspenseful. I like the college setting. I just think I think that they kind of work out the kinks, and I also feel that the Scream 2 feels a little less dated than the original film.
Oh wow, you think the first one's dated, huh?
Just with the technology, I think Scream 2 out of all of them uses technology the least, which that might be what some people don't like, or part of the reason that some people don't like it. But because of that, I feel like it feels less dated. Like, it doesn't have so many topical references of that period.
I'm just pissed they killed Randy. Like, how the fuck are you gonna do that? It's like, he was one of my favorite characters, man. A lot of people shit on the fourth one, but I love the fourth one. I like 1, 4, 5, 2, and 3. And like that in my order, I would say that those are probably my favorites. But
yeah, I mean, honestly, like, Scream is one of like the few horror series out there where there's something about all of them that I can appreciate. I mean, even 3, which isn't very good, has its moments that are fun. I don't think it really works as like a Scream type film, but kind of taken as like a rated R Scooby-Doo slasher, I think it works pretty well.
Dude, that's an excellent way to put it. That's fucking, you nailed it, dude. Thank you for that. I'm gonna start using that, man.
I watched Don't Go to the Reunion a couple hours ago. Darren sent me a copy of it, and I even told him after I watched it, I was like, this kind of got a Scream vibe to it, with the whole high school trickster, the whole revenge. You know, I think who was it?
Well, Scream even comes up in the dialogue towards the end of the movie, don't they?
Spence like takes a whole year with this chick, and the spoiler alert, takes a whole year and like, gotcha, bitch. You know, I wasn't expecting Spence to do that. That was the turn. I was like, this is what this movie needed, because I was expecting the geek didn't really kill himself. He was the actual killer. So kudos to you on throwing me off.
Yeah. Thank you.
And you know, and what I like about indie films such as Don't Go to the Reunion is the homage. Like, we did a thing with who was it, Peter? Well, he did his Roseblood, Friday the 13th Roseblood.
The fan
film.
The
homages. Yeah, the fan film, like the homage that he did to everything. Like, I missed so many until he told us. But with yours, you know, I caught on to a few of them. And then obviously I went in and did the commentary, and I watched some of the stuff. And I was like, yeah, Hamilton High. I was like, oh crap, how did I freaking, you know what I mean? I was like, oh dude, like that was so great. And then the editing portions was the Friday the 13th. As you can tell, I kind of gave you your Friday the 13th background on this here podcast background here.
No, that's
little
awesome.
Stuff like that. Yeah, little stuff like that is why I like the indie films, because you pay homage to the ones that you love and endure. And the one of the character, and I'll get off my soapbox, is Nick Summer. I knew a guy in high school like that. And when I was watching this movie, I like you said, watch Blood Junkie, one of his other films. I hope he redeems himself, because as of right now, I don't like the guy just from your movie. I was like, God, I was so glad he got his head like cut off. I was like, thank God that guy's dead. I was like, Jesus, but I know people like that in high school. And I was like, yes, yes. So kudos to you on that too. I was like, thank you for killing off the asshole and the other jock. I was really hoping to see the iron like go straight through him out through his mouth when he was in the one of the sex scenes. I was like, God, if he had only showed that.
Right.
So that was my 2 cents to that. Couple scenes I was like, man, Nick Summer, I think who was it, Christopher? I think he played the Christopher character. I'm gonna watch Blood Junkie just for the simple fact I'll end up liking him again, but as of right now, I don't like him because of that movie.
No, that's great. Like, I mean, every kind of horror movie has a character like that, and that's also kind of a fine line too. Is that you want to, if you're going to create an unlikable character, you want them to be memorably unlikable and hopefully give them a good death, because sometimes just characters are just grating, or it's just like, okay, well, I want them to die, but they're not at all interesting and they're awfulness. So
right.
that can be a problem too.
Yeah, well, you definitely hit when you wrote it, and you definitely to me, Erica, very beautiful, but Nick stood out. I was just like, this is a Nick movie, because I was like, Darren knows I get on people and it's like, oh, I can't stand this guy. It'll be a movie, and I'm like still pissed about it. But yeah, he definitely pissed me off that movie, and I thank you, Kevin, for doing that, because a lot of people, that's what it's about. You got to build the characters, and especially like indie films. That's where the bread and butter is. You got to sell it as characters. You can't.
That's how you get emotionally invested into the movie, because you got to have that one asshole you want to see die, or you want want the pretty girl. You want the pretty girl to be the final girl or whatever. And if you don't have character development, then why am I even watching this thing? So
yeah, kind of like Terrifier. Terrifier. That's a good movie on that.
Quentin Tarantino is really good at character development through his building character through his dialogue. Like, you could realize if this guy's a fucking asshole or a smart ass or whatever. Audie, will you do me a favor and bring up Ben's comment? Because he's got a good question. Audie fucking hates the movie Terrifier. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Oh no,
without going into detail and shooting ourselves in the fucking foot, Audie and the main actor of that movie do not get along, and that's all we're going to say about that.
No, I was literally speaking on the movie itself. There was no character development in that movie.
Zero. Yeah, I know. But the kills were cool, I guess. I don't know.
Whatever.
Have you seen that movie, though? No. Kevin, have you seen Terrifier?
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way. I mean,
okay, cool. I don't know if we should even get into it or not. It's not like he's ever going to come on the podcast, right, Audie?
I'm open.
Right, me too. He's just, I don't know. Let's just shut the fuck up about that.
Yeah, I'm gonna shut the fuck up.
So our one of our executive producers here, Ben, he said, did Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer come out the same year? I feel they were competing with each other. I Know What You Did Last Summer was basically like a birth thing after the fact, right? Like, if Scream came out first, and then that's when fucking all these movies like I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legends, Valentine, a lot of these other movies were coming out, these slashers, right? Is that kind of true? Like, I think Scream gave a breath of fresh air into horror and brought it back, because before Scream came out, nobody wanted to make a horror movie because that's where your career went to die, Does any of that make sense? Do you agree, disagree?
Oh, I completely agree, 100%. Yeah, Scream came out December of 96. And then I Know What You Did Last Summer came out October of 97. And right kind of in the middle of that period, they were both written by Kevin Williamson. But yeah, that was kind of, Scream was just an interesting movie in and of itself, and the fact that it's something that I don't think could happen today. I saw it twice at the theater, and I saw it opening weekend, and we went to see it that Saturday night, and I had my mom buy tickets for it, and there was maybe 10 people in the theater. And then we went to see it. I wanted to see it again with like a group of my friends about maybe a month later, and the theater was like 3/4 of the way full. That would never ever happen today. They never let movies kind of build with word of mouth. They're not going to hold a movie in the theater for a month if it's just not selling well, just to see if it might sell well in the future. So I mean, that kind of just changed everything. There's stuff that Scream changed for the horror genre that, even though I really like Scream, I don't particularly like aspects of how it influenced the genre. But I'm happy that it kind of gave a rebirth to the subgenre of slashers.
It was genius of them to release it during Christmas break, because that's why it got so big, because word of mouth, like you said. There's kids that are on vacation or whatever, or Christmas break, and they go see the movie. What the hell else are you going to do? It's Christmas break. You're not going to the Bahamas and shit for summer vacation. You got a week off of school. You go to the movies with your buddies, and then by the time Christmas break is over, everyone's coming back to school talking about Scream, and then it just fucking exploded after that, you know?
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, that movie kind of, you know, that was the first of its type, where, you know, before, you know, the internet or anything like that, where, you know, everything wasn't spoiled the day of.
Yeah.
You know, people were shocked in the fact that, like, oh my God, like the biggest actor in this movie gets killed 10 minutes in. I mean, that was insane. Like, I mean, it's really like that's something that you couldn't even really describe what that feeling was like to teens today. Just because everything is so immediate. I mean, if they were even going to try to do something like that today, I mean, by the time they had like the Thursday night previews, like that night, that'd be all over Twitter. It wouldn't matter. But for its time, like, there were so many surprises, and it just kind of took just that, and like the fact that there was more than one killer, like, just threw me by surprise. And it was just very interesting. I understand why people don't like it, because there is kind of a tone to it that really rubs people the wrong way. I know that some people find it really kind of snarky and condescending towards the genre. I don't feel that way. I understand how somebody could, though. But I just, I love that series. Even like the lesser ones, I still have a mostly good time with them, and I'm happy in the fact that 25 years later, like, they're still making them.
Right. That's cool. I mean,
it's crazy.
In my opinion, they can keep cranking them out. And I think it's awesome that you and your mom had went and seen every one the last 25 years opening weekend.
Yeah.
Like, that's so, how fucking cool is that, man? Because we all know our parents aren't going to be here forever. And that's just like, that's probably one of the thousands of things that you have with your mom. And like, I fucking appreciate the shit out of that. I think that's really cool.
Oh, no, I love that. I mean, like slashers, like, completely came from my mom, because they're still, to this date, my mom's 70, and slashers are still her absolute favorite. I mean, to the point where if we're watching like horror movies, like, if I give her like okay, these are new horror movies that I got, and she's like looking through them, she'd be like, okay, well, like which one has the most blood? Like, which one has the most people dying? Like, those are the ones that she wants to watch first. Like,
that's awesome. That's amazing.
No,
how do you really feel cool, about me? Go ahead, man. I'm sorry, dude. Go ahead and finish, Kevin.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, like, that's something that's, you know, to this day, like, those are kind of movies that I've just kind of always been drawn to because of my family. But yeah, still watching to this day.
One thing I like to ask our guests is because Audie loves Halloween 3. And I absolutely I've never even finished it. I can't get through it. So my question is, well, Audie, why don't you ask? I was just gonna say, what's your opinion on Halloween?
I want to hear this.
Like, what's your opinion on Halloween 3? Do you like it? Do you wish it never existed? Like, what's the story here? Because that's my thing. He busts my balls on Scream and Blair Witch Project. I bust his balls on The Shining and Halloween 3. Don't tell Audie, but I actually kind of do like The Shining, but I'll never tell him that. But Halloween 3 is just a turd covered in burnt hair, in my opinion. So what do you think of Halloween 3?
Well, to kind of answer that, like that's the shirt that I'm wearing right now.
Oh, I think he likes it, Audie. I think Audie's taking applications for a new co-host, and I think Kevin just got bumped up on the list.
I didn't catch it either because where I'm looking,
I did not notice that. I did not even notice it.
Yeah, now I do. Yeah, Shamrock. So there you go, Darren. You can just open your
Silver Shamrock. Yeah, it's got all the mass on it.
Don't worry, he doesn't know what that is.
So here's the thing about Halloween 3. It doesn't make it there's a million plot holes with it. It doesn't make any sense. Like I've watched it a billion times. I still don't even understand what the main guy's motive is. Like, okay, even if everything were to be successful with his like evil plan, like I don't understand, like, okay, well, so what? Like, where's he gonna go with this? It doesn't make any sense. And I think it would have been better if they would have released it as Halloween 2. So if they were going to do the anthology thing of, hey, like each year we're going to do a horror movie based on the Halloween holiday, like it would have made more sense as a part 2, or they should have just released it as just Season of the Witch. Right. Either way, I think it's really fun. And the fact that, I mean, I won't give it away just in case you ever do see it all. But I love the ending. I love how bleak it is without giving, like I said, not giving too much away. But
no, I know exactly what happens, and bleak is a great word to use. It really is. And Audie and I have had this conversation 100 times about how horror movies shouldn't have a happy ending. They don't need happy endings. They don't need comic relief. That kind of irritates me a little bit. Every once in a while, fine, but you're not Marvel. Don't throw in a fucking joke every 15 minutes, you know?
Right.
But yeah, it's definitely bleak. That is a great word to use for Halloween 3. That ending is just like, what? That's it? What the fuck? Like, how could you do this to me? So no, I get it. And I don't know. If it was called Season of the Witch, I'd probably watch it and love it for what it is. And I get it, man. It was supposed to be a fucking anthology thing, or every year a new, story that takes place on Halloween the night. But it's just, I don't know. It just shits on it for me because Michael Myers isn't in it, and I get it. I fucking get it, guys. Hold all jokes to the end, please. No, I'm just kidding. But
no, I agree with you, and I think most people that do enjoy Halloween 3 will say it should have never been part of the Halloween series. And me not liking Halloween at all, I just totally agree. I think Halloween 3 should have been Season of the Witch. And
right, but like, go ahead.
There was what made the movie. I'll touch the points. The motive of the killer. There was no, like, he's gonna kill all the kids. What else is next? I loved it. I loved it that no one knew that. I love the bad ending. I think The Shining should have ended like they should have been no happy ending of The Shining. But I mean, I don't write this stuff, but the bleak endings. I love horror movies that end in the most shittiest way. And Halloween 3 definitely was like,
well, if they all ended in shitty ways, we wouldn't have Final Girls. And Final Girl is a cool formula. I enjoy the Final Girl formula. But like Kevin said earlier, too, is that you can't predict what's going to happen. And I think that's where they shot themselves in the foot, because they're like, oh, next year we're going to do one about these fucking masks that kill kids. And then the year after that, we'll do something else on Trick or Treat Night. And everyone's like, where the fuck is the guy in the William Shatner mask killing babysitters? This is bullshit. So then they're like, fuck, I guess we're going to have to do Return of Michael Myers, like, so that you can't predict what's going to happen, right?
Yeah, and I get it. You can't have them all bad endings, No,
I know.
And that's what sets Halloween 3 apart from itself is the wonderful magic that movie just holds. People don't like it because it's not Michael Myers, and that sucks. A lot of people like yourself, Darren, doesn't like it because there's no Myers.
Right.
And you got to separate yourself when you watch that movie. You got to, like, Myers is not going to be in, and I don't care for Michael Myers. I like Halloween 3, so that's why I enjoyed it. But bleak endings are always the way to go. And I'll touch back on Don't Go to the Reunion, I thought she was gonna get. That was it. I was like, she's done. You know, the knife goes in. I was like, yes, no happy ending. You know, and then the whole poker like right through him. I was like, okay, well, she gets away. She lives. You know.
Well, speaking of the Halloween franchise and your movies, I'd like to tie them together. We're about a little over an hour here. I got one question for you I've been waiting on. In Dismembering Christmas, that whole poker table scene where they're doing the shots, I think it was Jameson maybe. That whole scene, like the music starts playing and that camera work was fucking incredible, by the way it swooped around, it was pretty smooth. And I know there wasn't railroad tracks on the ground like these big movies do. You know, that's a guy walking around with a camera, right?
Right.
But it was this one continuous shot where they're dancing, moving around, getting drunk, going up the stairs. The fucking camera guy goes back down the stairs. That was all one continuous shot, and it really reminded me of that opening scene in John Carpenter's Halloween in 1978. Was that done on purpose, or did that happen on accident?
I don't know if that's really hard to say, because there's been so much stuff that I've included in horror movies that I don't realize until afterwards, that I'll be like, oh yeah, I did get that from that. So I don't think it's deliberately intentional, but it might have just, the seed might have been planted there a little bit. But yeah, that was a crazy. Yeah, exactly. That was a crazy night. I mean, that was one night where we just shot that one scene. And as we were doing it, I mean, for like that 4 minute take, literally we would reset the room. You'd have maybe a minute, maybe 45 seconds. Then the actors come back in, the camera comes back in, everything's got to be different. And you're literally going from room to room to room, the crew right behind the scenes, of just changing everything around to make it look like time had passed, without any cuts whatsoever. And I still can't believe that it, like when my director at the time, Austin Bosley, was like, "This is what we're going to do." I was like, "That sounds really cool, but we're not going to be able to do that." It was one of those things where I just was like, "Okay, well, it'd be awesome if we're able to, but like we might want to have a backup plan." But I was just like, wow, like we were able to do this. Like, it was really cool. That was kind of one of those things that I would have never, that's kind of one of those things too, where it's like working with the team. It's amazing because people are going to come up with other things, other ideas and other inspirations that you might not have thought of yourself. But also it's one of those things too, where you're going to have like this new outpouring of creativity that I would have never thought of. And I'm glad that he did, because that's one of those things where that makes me happy every time I see it. Cause I'm like, yeah, we were able to do that.
100%. In my honest opinion, it is one of the cooler montages I've ever seen, for the simple fact that
thank you.
montages are not done in one fucking take. You know, you got fucking Rocky running upstairs, and then you got him doing push-ups, and then you got him punching fucking dead ribs in the freezer. That's how montages are done. And it made me curious too. I'm like, is this an error? Did they cut this fucking scene so well that I think it's one camera take? Or is there a bunch of fucking errors in the background? Because I could have swore they were just they were at a poker table, and then it changed into a regular table. And I'm like, I think they're trying to do a montage here, trying to show that time has passed, but it's like in a minute and a half or so. So I was a little bit confused only in the first couple of seconds, and then I caught on right away. And I just think that it was beautifully done. It was fucking genius. It was really smart and brave. It was super brave to pull that off.
Thank you.
A fucking montage with 0 camera cuts.
Right.
And it reminded me of the opening scene of Halloween. So it was just like, did that shit happen on accident, or are these guys just that fucking smart? You know, like, it was really cool, dude.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. Yeah, because I'm really happy with how that turned out, because it's one of those things that I never would have thought it would have worked, and it worked beautifully, and I'm really happy with that, especially.
There's a couple of surprising things in that movie too, like when the girl's in the bathroom and her friend runs up the stairs, not runs up, but she goes up the stairs to be like, I kind of feel alone. I'm sorry for being a bitch or whatever. I'm the only one here without a guy or whatever. There's that mirror. And I'm like, oh, they're gonna use the fucking mirror for something. Like everybody does the fucking mirror thing, but
Yeah.
but at first I didn't really think that. You know what I mean? I'm like, the
Mhm.
first thing that hit my head was like, man, they're like, I hope they use the mirror. You know, like I wonder why people put mirrors in their movies. You know, because it doesn't always happen.
Mhm.
Sometimes a fucking mirror is just there because people have mirrors in their houses. You know,
Right.
but with that scene, it was fucking gangster, dude. Because when she was done, she walked and like, sure as shit, in the mirror, the fucking bathroom door opens and the killer was in the bathroom the whole time. That was
Yeah.
another really smart thing that you guys chose to do. Did you write that in the script, or was there a mirror in the cabin and you're like, dude, let's put it in the corner and then have the guy come out of the bathroom? How did you guys work that scene out?
I'm trying to remember. I want to say that it was written in the script. I don't know how exactly it was played out in the script. I know that there was kind of like that mirrored reflection that was included in that scene somewhere. It's been a while. So, I mean, it's been like 6 years since I wrote the screenplay, so I don't remember 100%. But I want to say that it was included in there somewhere, but I don't know if that kind of like that kind of nod at the end. It's like, hey, look, I'm still here. I don't know for sure if that was in the final script or if that was something that Austin added himself. But yeah, that was that. I kind of like that little touch too.
Cool, man. That's pretty much all I got, dude. We're a little over an hour. Audie, is there anything you want to say to
No,
Kevin or ask Kevin?
no, I've covered I'm going to end up watching your other two movies. Eventually, I'm going up to see Darren in another week, so we're gonna probably binge
Yeah.
watch on some of your
Yeah.
movies.
I don't know
Awesome.
if you know this, Kevin, but I live in Illinois and he lives in Missouri. So, like, we met on Facebook like 6 years ago and now we got a podcast together and he's going to drive up 6 hours to hang out. So,
Hey, no,
we're going
that's
to watch.
awesome. I love that. Like, I love there's like that family out there, especially like people that love horror. Like, I love going to conventions because like I'm always meeting people where it's just like, oh, hey, do you remember this? Do you remember this? Like, did you love this? Like,
Yeah.
it's just it's so wonderful. Like, just because like you're not the only geek. You're surrounded by other geeks that love the same stuff you
Right.
do, and it's like that wonderful mutant family, and I love them all.
What I think is cool is like, your mom's into horror. My mom, not so much. But one day,
Mhm.
there was Don't Go to the Reunion in VHS on our kitchen counter. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And she's like, dude, she's like, you have a cousin that makes horror movies. I'm like, bullshit. I never met him. Where's this where's this long lost horror fan cousin of mine?
Why am
You
I not in
know?
his movies?
No, not that. I'm like, where's my horror movie cousin? Like, what the, you mean I have someone in my bloodline that loves horror movies as much as I do? I got to hang out with this dude. And it was just cool to know that, that I have we're blood related, and I just like, we
Yeah,
never,
no, that is awesome.
it's wild, right?
Yeah,
Like we never
it's
even met before, but it's
crazy.
fucking
Darren,
our
Kevin,
parents are siblings.
Darren.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
right?
it's such a small world, especially like yeah, I don't know what it is about, especially horror. Like, it's just like I have like all these like different relatives here or there. It's just like, oh yeah, I love those movies too. It's something, especially with Scream, for some reason, like everyone in my family like just seems to love it, which is really kind of bizarre too, in the fact that like there's that whole like family backstory with Scream too. So it just kind of adds like another thing to it. But yeah, I've always loved horror movies, and it's something that's to the day I die, I'm still gonna be watching them, still gonna be
Yep.
making them.
Mhm.
It's something that's always been in my blood, and it's just something that I just find them to be so much fun, and it's just so entertaining. And if I'm scared, like that's a bonus. If I have a good time, like that's what it's all about.
Yeah, man. That's cool. And if it wasn't for horror movies, Audie and I probably would have never met. And
Oh,
yeah, just
yeah,
it brings
Yeah, that's
it's
awesome.
really fucking cool, dude. I
Is it
forgot what else you
Kevin?
said. I was gonna say something. I totally fucking forgot, but
Kevin, is there anything that you want to plug?
yeah.
Bring up
Uh
or
yeah, I would guess like if you're interested in any of our films, go to slasherstudios.com. You can purchase all of them there. Otherwise, they're also available to rent or buy streaming on Amazon. Otherwise, if you want to check out our three short films, they're on the Don't Go to the Reunion DVD. Otherwise, they're also on YouTube. You can check them out that way as well if you look up Slasher Studios. But that's about it.
All right,
Yeah,
so
I'll
you don't mind
definitely.
if we put a link to your website in our
Yeah.
description
No,
when we
that would be awesome. I would love
because the
that.
audio is going to go on Spotify, iTunes. We're fucking everywhere. So we're going to put your
Awesome. Very
description and
cool.
hopefully we'll get you some movies sold,
Yeah.
man.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be great.
We'd love to have you back sometime too in the future. This is one of the most fun
Yeah.
episodes I've done just because me and Audie try to stay away from let's talk about horror movies because it's just I don't know, they're opinionated and it's no one wants to listen to two fucking guys they don't know talk about horror movies. Who gives a shit? So it's always cool to interview somebody about the things they do. So this is a really fun one for me because we don't always get to interview horror movie guys, you know. So I had a lot of fun
No,
and thank you so much for
yeah,
coming
I had a
on,
blast
dude.
too. Yeah, thanks for having me. I had a wonderful time.
Yes, sir, Kevin.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll let you get out of here and then
Okay.
have a great weekend, dude. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a pleasure. Yeah,
Hey,
thanks
man.
for having me. Yeah,
All right.
see ya.
Bye.
Later, dude. What's up, man? That was
What's
fucking
up?
sweet, huh?
Yeah, dude. I enjoy these kinds of interviews. You know, indie films is I always have a thing for indie films because just for the simple fact of the heart and time, passion that goes into them. You know, it's so much easy to go watch a big Paramount or whatever, you know. Uh, but the indie films always have that more of drive and passion in them, and then maybe that's why I like them. That and I like the posters, but whatever. Who am I? You
Right.
know.
No, definitely. They're passion projects, man. They like the
It,
people who are making them movies. I'm sure they have rough days just like anybody else at work, but
yeah,
my dad always said, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And I bet a lot of these indie guys genuinely enjoy being at work because they love horror movies. I don't love cars. I don't love building cars. I do it so I can fucking go to work, get my money, and then spend it on horror movie shit,
or
you know? So to be involved
absolutely.
in that's why this podcast is so fun because I love hanging out with you
Yep.
and I love talking about the things that we talk about. And it's fucking sweet, dude. So
Yeah, you know, running the 3D printing business. I've geared almost all of it around horror.
right.
You
Fuck
know,
yeah.
like
Yeah, man.
and I wanted to be, you know, and I'm broad on it, but at the end of the day, I'll print a Jack Torrance bust.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
fucking
this
ain't
is a
right.
great episode. It was really fun. I enjoy these type of episodes, getting indie filmmakers, and we're gonna have Kevin on in the future. Um, Kevin Lockhart, who did High on the Hog. I've talked to
Yeah.
him.
That'll be lots of fun.
Yeah, he'll tell you his perspective on that movie and indie slasher film. Well, it wasn't a slasher; it was more
I
like a
know.
suspense, but same
We
thing.
we gonna do a after show here for our
Yeah,
patrons or what?
yeah,
Are
we're
we?
gonna do the
Okay.
Patreon after
Well, let's
show.
hop off here so I can piss, smoke a cigarette. But before that, we
Yep.
got to give a huge fucking shout out to our patrons, our supporters, our producers. We got Ben Newman. He's the number one, son. Ben Newman's our fucking Audie's our executive producer. He's the tech. I'm the talent. Ben is the executive producer, number two. And then we got Chandra Daler, we got Ryan Merriman, we got Brent Kopaka, we got Tara Myers, and we got Paul Tonkovich. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for contributing to our podcast and helping us do this.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know what to
really
fucking say except thank you,
well. No,
thank you, fucking thank you.
yeah, it's definitely helped us with certain projects that we're doing. It's definitely it's opened my eyes, you know, because I've never done anything to get support financially, I guess, and uh, it's opening the doors to some awesome stuff in the future, and those who support us, thank you guys. It's
And they're
uh,
gonna get the kickback for doing so.
oh, absolutely. You know,
Right,
that's what it's for is to give something back. Merch, prints, these
right,
guests, you know.
right.
So thank
And
y'all. I
if
say
we
thank
make
y'all.
it, you make it. We'll
Exactly.
bring you out there with us, man.
But
But
yeah,
yeah,
that's
let's fucking end this because
you gotta
man, I
pee.
gotta piss real bad.
That weak ass talent
How many
bladder of
beers have
yours.
you drank in the last hour and 20 minutes, mother?
Look, I have to drink water, okay?
Oh, you'll drink plenty of beer when you come up here and
Oh
visit
yeah. Oh
a couple
yeah.
of
That's a show within itself. I can't
yeah.
wait for that one.
And so everybody know in the next couple of weeks, Audie's gonna come up here and stay with me for like 4 days. So expect a lot of fucking content.
A lot of
So if you want to
fuck
see a lot of
words
behind the
and-
scenes shenanigans, now is the time to hop on our fucking Patreon and donate $5 a month, because you're
That's
going to
where
get to
it's
see
going.
all. Yeah, it's not going
We're-
on here, man.
We're doing live ghost hunts.
Yes, this is
And
true.
what's the game that I kicked your ass at? What is it? What's
Which
it called?
one? Pool, Kaponk, Pig? What the
Kaponk.
fuck?
Behind the
Fucker,
scenes
you
at
kicked my
Kaponk.
ass in every goddamn game. Even fucking air hockey, the little fucking football game with the fucking piece of paper. I'm fucking pissed. This is bullshit. You beat me in fucking catwalking. Our fucking kids made outfits for us, and we did a fucking little catwalk down the street. He got more votes than I did on that one from the neighbors.
I beat you in the sobriety test.
Yeah, that, and like I got a 6-foot privacy fence. Who could pee the highest? He fucking beat me in that. It's a bunch of bullshit. Fuck this guy.
It's gonna be fun. Why are we friends? I don't know.
I know. It's fucking insane. I love you, brother, and I love all of our patrons. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you later. Thank you for tuning in to our little Passion Project podcast. Remember, we go live every single Friday night, same damn time, same damn channel. So if you miss it, don't blame us.